Hello, welcome back to Call to Homeschool with your coach and guide, Meg Thomas. And we have on the podcast today Katie from Georgia, and she wrote in a question. And so I love doing these ones. They're really fun. And I think they're so helpful because I think they have asked the best questions from people in the first part of their homeschool experience, in the middle of the homeschool, where I'm coming in with a lot of experience and things. I had the same questions and same obstacles, and you just kind of forget the longer that you homeschool and you're doing it. And so I love that these questions bring it back so that everybody realizes that everybody has struggles in their homeschool and obstacles and figuring out ways to get past them. So Katie, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so some background. I'm from Washington State originally. I met my husband there um, while he was active duty Air Force pilot. So we met in Washington and then we moved to Hawaii. And since then, so that was in 2018. Since then, we've lived in Hawaii, Texas, Mississippi, and then now we're in Georgia. We moved here in June. We've got two kids, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. Um, so my 5-year-old has already lived in 3 states. No, 4 states: Hawaii, Texas, Mississippi, Georgia. Yeah. Yeah. She's been all over the place in her short life. So my husband is an Air Force reservist now, and he also flies for Delta Airlines. So all that background to say, I spent a lot of my time as a solo parent because he flies a lot for his two different jobs. Um, and we had talked about homeschooling a lot over the years, but it was kind of like a pipe dream. And we thought, oh, that'd be kind of cool to homeschool because when Paul flies to, insert some location, we could go with him and we could do homeschool from wherever. But it was something that seemed kind of too like out there and obscure for me. I didn't think I could do it. So we kind of like just put it on the shelf for a while. Um, so then fast forward to a few weeks ago, my daughter started kindergarten at a local school, and the school was great. No complaints about the school itself, but the days were so long. I mean, it was like up 5:45 in the morning, get up in the car for what felt like an eternity. Then she was gone for about 8 hours a day. And then would come home like in a pretty bad mood, didn't want to be around anyone because she just wanted some quiet time, which I totally get. But then it was like, okay, rush through dinner, get the kids to bed, and then start over again in the morning. Um, so we did that for 3 weeks, and that whole 3 weeks, I was so anxious, and I just kept feeling like this is not how life is supposed to be. This is so stressful and so overwhelming. I just felt so unsettled about it, and my husband did too. And there were some things that my daughter liked about the school, but she would come home and be like, "Mom, we sat in a desk so much today. We didn't get to play. They have recess, but it's like really short." Anyway, so it kept coming up like, okay, I think maybe homeschool is like the way to go. And so I just started diving into like, we started listening to your podcasts and some other podcasts, reading books, and like rapid fire acquiring lots of information about homeschool. And then it was on a Wednesday of that third week, I was like, okay, we're going to take her out on Friday. Monday, we're going to start homeschool. So now this has been our fourth week of homeschool. So that's kind of where we're at. Yeah.
Hey, I love this. This is a lot like my story where I kind of thought of the idea of homeschooling, but had lots of little kids. And we did, I think it was 1 month of first grade. And so I had a first grader, a kindergartner, a preschooler, and then 2 babies, right? And so 1 month of waking like little was up, driving all the
Yeah.
time, all the different schedules, and I thought homeschool seems easier than this craziness. So
Yeah.
I totally get that. And my son was the same, like I wanted to hang out with him afterwards, and he's introverted, and so he was like, "No, I can't
Yeah.
do people." So like our
I need a
only time was
break.
homework. Yes,
Yeah.
and I was like, "That's our life when you're 6 is like see a mom, like, it was a good 6 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
So I
is like,
totally get that.
yeah, and I thought I would feel like, all right, I get a break, like this is going to be great. But then it's sort of like that was good for a day or two. And then I was like, this is too much time for us to be apart. Like, as much as I want a break, that was too much. Like, being away from
Yeah.
my child, my 5-year old, for 8 hours of the day was just too much.
Yes. Okay, so this question, I think lots of moms will really resonate with you. So I'm going to read it, and I might skip some that you talked about, like as you were explaining some of it to us. So, being with your kids 24/7, like this is quite an adjustment, right? And
Yeah.
like homeschooling sounds so fun and dreamy, but it's like, okay, but now we are together, like morning, sometimes through the night, right? All day long, like we are together. So, how are you able to be with your kids 24/7 without getting totally burned out and overstimulated? So, she talked about she just started homeschool, husband is gone quite a bit. What the kids did before a 3-hour day, Mother's Day, out school program 4 days a week. So, yeah, I'm guessing that wasn't as bad as the kindergarten routine, right?
No, that
But
was
that
actually
3-hour
like
break,
really the sweet spot.
yeah. So that 3-hour break really helped me stay sane and recharge. Now I'm finding myself totally overwhelmed by being around them nonstop. Maybe that makes me sound like a horrible mom, and I'm gonna say right there, no, it doesn't. It makes you sound like a human, that you're not a
Thank you.
robot. I'm so happy you're a human, but I just don't know how to get the space I need. So talk to me a little bit about this of how, because summertime, like, were they with you all the time as well?
Yeah, yeah, but I think what kind of, I mean, and I did go a little bit crazy, but I think that the thought that it had kind of like an end point, like, okay, this is just a season of, we're going to start school and we'll get a little bit of a break. And then my husband also had um, some time off, just kind of here and there, just with vacations and stuff. And so it was broken up a little bit. Plus, we had just moved. So it was like so much going on otherwise. I was just busy and didn't have as much time to kind of think about it. But now that it's like, okay, we're doing this and we're going to do this for the foreseeable future, I guess that makes it harder thinking like, I don't know when the breaks will be. And yeah, it's, I don't know, it's just a little bit different
Yeah.
mindset than the summer.
And are you more introverted where, like, I'm totally okay with kids climbing on me, right? And like that does not deplete me. But I know other people, it's like I need every day I need a break. So like describe yourself to me of like, do you need alone time? Does it like what really refuels you?
So I think I have just learned this in the past, like, well, I guess since becoming a mom. Like, if you would have asked me prior to having kids, I would have been like, I'm an extrovert 100%. Like, I am filled up, my cup filled up by being around other people. But I realized I'm actually like the introverted extrovert. Like,
Mhm.
I love being in community with people. I love being around other people. But if I don't have time, like by myself, to kind of recharge my battery, I get very overwhelmed. And like, since having kids, I had never experienced feeling overstimulated until I had kids. So that has been something where I'm like, wow, I didn't know this about myself. Where I'm like, it's not as much the touching, but it's like lots of sounds all the time and like questions all the time. And especially since I'm solo parenting a lot of the time, it's like there's not always a break of like, okay, you take some of these questions and touching and crying and stuff. It's like it's all me for like 4 days at a time sometimes. And that's when I get a little bit like, okay, I need a break where I'm just by myself, where I don't have to talk and nobody's asking me anything. Like, and I actually got to have that today, and it's like so recharging for me where I can like come back to parenting and I feel like a better person.
Yeah. So the tricky thing with homeschooling is it's going to require you to grow and stretch in ways that you didn't think that you would. And like, so when I talk about like my intent with homeschooling and like what has actually happened from it are two very different things. Like I did it like for my kids, this is going to be a really great education. We're going to get time, but I didn't realize my own personal growth that was going to happen.
Mm,
And so, like, even questioning this, and I'm not even saying you're going into this victim mindset of like, woe is me, but my husband's gone. But there is a little bit of this, like, what am I supposed to do? I'm overwhelmed, I'm overstimulated, and my husband's gone 4 days out of the week. Right. And so, even just this little mindset shift of empowered, because when we get into this mindset of like, I don't know what to do, I'm overstimulated, this is hard, or whatever that story is, our brains just shut down and we don't see options. And like
yeah.
we like think about it, we hyper focus on the problem. And the problem is like I'm touched out, I'm overstimulated, and I'm by myself. And so like your brain can't even take off the blinders to being like, girl, there might be some other options than just public school all day long and losing your mind because your kids are with you all the time.
Yeah.
So like let's play with some possibilities. And like I love to think outlandish at first because it can kind of break those barriers and the little blinders off of like, okay, in my dream world, what are some options I could do? I could hire a nanny. And like, so even if it's not in your budget, like just throw out any idea that would help you in the situation that you're in. Your husband wins the lottery and so he's home all day. So just like spitball some ideas that would help you lighten your load.
Yeah. So I guess mentioning my husband, sometimes when he gets home, we kind of struggle to get back into a routine because we have the like, this is how we do
Mhm.
it when dad's gone, this is how we do it when dad's home. And it can sometimes be challenging to like weave in between those. So I guess in my like ideal world, it would be like, okay, days when dad's home, um, we either like split the time with homeschool and like childcare, or like we say, okay, this day a week, dad's going to be home and I'm going to be like completely out of the house. Like if we know, okay, he's going to be home this day and then he's leaving the next day or whatever, like we look at the calendar that week and like say, like, this is the time that I'm going to be not here or like doing something else.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, I love this so much because you were talking about summertime, like you had a lot going on, and but it was almost like it's going to end, so I can endure to the end, basically, right?
mhm.
So if you had the thought like husband is gone for 4 days out of the week and then he's home for a day or two. So if you're like, okay, it's Monday or Tuesday and it's complete chaos, but I know on Friday I'm getting a whole day off. Does that
Yeah.
help your brain to being like, I can push through and I can be okay because I know Friday's almost here?
Yeah, I'm very like, if I have something to look forward to or to work towards, that helps my brain a lot. I'm an athlete too, so I think that's kind
Yeah.
of like that athlete mindset of like we're pushing toward the goal. But yeah, that helps me a lot.
Okay. And what are your husband's thoughts and feelings about taking like when he's been working full time to then come home and have the kids all day while you go?
It's sometimes hard to tell because he will always say like I will do whatever I need to do to make it easier for you. Like, he will bend over backwards to help me. Um, but I also realize like yes, he's been working and he's tired too, so it's tricky. We're still like trying to figure that out. We're still kind of new into this life of him having the two jobs, the Air Force and airlines.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I'm not sure if there's like a perfect way to do it. But I will
Well,
say,
doesn't exist.
yeah,
I'll tell you
that's
that
true.
right now.
I will say, but parts of his job allow him to get a little bit of a break. Um, like when he does his Air Force job, he gets to play softball with the Air Force guys. So it's like there's pockets of time when he does get a break. So that makes me feel a little bit better about like him coming home and kind of jumping back in because I know he hasn't just been like working 24 hours a day.
Okay. So as part of that, then you feeling guilty to ask for his help when he does have a day off
Um,
or bad or like I shouldn't because I know you have a heavy schedule too. There was some reservation there.
I think it's actually probably, if I'm being honest with myself, it's my own like difficulty in giving up control because I have set up this like schedule and this is how we do things and this is what I observed works best to keep everybody even keel and avoid meltdowns and stuff. And he and I are like as opposite as you could be. Like our brains are like on two different planets, which is
Yeah.
great in some respects. But sometimes it can be hard for me to just be like, okay, here you go, do it however you want. Like I have in my mind, like it should be done this way, which is silly. Like as long as they're
No, I think you and I
safe
sound
and
so much
happy. Like,
alike. My husband's not Air Force, but like he will leave sometimes a month at a time and go to Africa. And then like his plane, like return flight will just keep getting postponed and postponed. And I was like, cool. Like, I'll see you when
yeah.
I see you. But like we
Yeah.
couldn't be more different where I love control and he's like way more spontaneous. So
Yeah.
this is making me giggle. So it's interesting though, like you almost self-sabotage. So like he's willing and it's not even guilt, but it's something like, well, I don't want to give up control. So I'm just going to stay in overwhelmed and overstimulated and like lose my mind because I don't want to give up control.
Yeah, and there probably is some level of guilt too, where like obviously he's working really hard, working two jobs and we just moved and he's doing a lot to provide for us. So there's definitely some level of like I want him to be happy and have time and have a break and stuff too. So yeah, it's kind of mixed emotions. But
Yeah.
yeah, self-sabotage is something that I am unfortunately really good at.
I think most people are, myself included. Okay, let's just put that on the back burner for a minute. So husband is an option. But let's think of other options. So I know you're new to the area,
Yeah.
but I know so my sister-in-law, she's Air Force and my brother's Army. I have to think of like put them all in the right categories because I know that really offends people. Um, but they got really good at meeting their neighbors quick because they would move so often.
Yeah.
And so, how are you about like connecting with another mom or even finding a cute grandma or a babysitter or something to just start thinking of ideas outside of the box. So, like Tuesdays, maybe on Tuesdays, I find another homeschool family or just another cute family with little kids. And like, hey, you take them this Tuesday. And then the next Tuesday, I'll take your kids. And then that's the Friday that my husband then comes home and takes my kids. So, like, every week I'm getting a break, but not my husband every week. One
Yeah.
week's neighbor, one week's this, right? Like, just start thinking of other ideas. If you're like, I really do want a break, like, what are other ideas of how you could get that?
Yeah, we've talked about this a little bit. So we've met a good chunk of the people in our neighborhood and gotten to know and like our close by neighbors. Um, and so that's kind of been an option. We've got a woman who lives two doors down who's like she's a grandma and her grandson is my son's age. So that's been like a good connection and the kids go over there and play sometimes. So that's been awesome. Oh, because I guess another component of all of this um, we don't have any family, like our parents both live in different states. My mom has Parkinson's disease and is taken care of by my dad. So he's not able to travel. So it's like family is like not an option either, which is
Hmm.
that's just and that's been the case for
Yeah.
forever for us. So um but what we had talked about too and brainstorm like, okay, what if we got a nanny or babysitter or something like a set day a week so that I can go to the CrossFit gym because we've gone to a CrossFit gym a couple times that we like, and that's usually our way of like making our community is through the gym. Um, so we're like, okay, what if we did that once a week or even twice a week? The kids are with a babysitter, nanny, or even like somebody who could do some not tutoring, but like like light homeschool stuff while I go to this 1 hour class and like recharge my battery and then come home. And I think that would be helpful for me if we could make it work.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know in different pockets all over, like homeschooling is just growing, right?
Yeah.
I did a mother's helper when I first started wanting a business, and I had my little bonus baby, and my big kids were like, we can't do your daycare. So like I just put out on a Facebook group of, hey, I'm looking to hire a homeschool girl that's available in the daytime for 2 to 4 hours or
Mm,
whatever it was once a week.
yeah.
And if my baby's asleep, I want you to clean my house. Like I'd always have a chore, not my whole house, right? But I'm like, wash down my dishwasher. Weird things that I will never get to, right?
Yeah.
And so like that's totally an option.
Yeah, that's a great
Uh,
idea.
but also thinking about like one of the things that's really been popping up as homeschooling has been growing are micro schools. And I don't know if you've found any in your area yet, but I am finding like I know Utah in the pocket I'm in, like homeschooling is huge. So I feel like I could find lots of things, but I'm even finding lots of new moms who want to be able to stay at home. And so they're like, I'm going to create a little micro school. So it's 2 days a week or 1 day a week for two
Yeah.
hours, 1 hour. And we are actually going to do poetry and we're going to go look at bugs, like really simple stuff. But I didn't know if like that is another option. So it's a drop off situation. Yes, there will be an expense with that, but something that it's like, okay, I know on Tuesdays at 2, I get a 2 hour break because of this micro school, or one Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. Just something to kind of help you of like, I'm empowered and I know I get burned out. So I have like a babysitter twice a week for CrossFit. I have maybe one micro school, and then I can still utilize my husband if I'm like, it's been a rough week, but I can save him for like when I really want some like
Yeah.
a big day by myself, or like maybe that's a once a month. So it helps you to not feel guilty, or helps you to like, I'm still in control, which I totally get. Um, but just like ways to be really intentional with how do I get this alone time to recharge my battery?
Yeah, and we actually joined, it's like a co-op group. Um, and we're like brand new to it. So I've met a few people. I'm like building very slowly like relationships with people. But I'm wanting to find something like that, like a micro school, or I've met people who are local, but I not like super close to us. So I'm wanting to find like not necessarily in our neighborhood, but closer to where we live, like even if we could find two or three families that are like within like a 10-minute radius or something, so it's like easier to, okay, let's meet up these days a week or whatever, or like you said, like drop them off and take turns. So I'm trying to find that like local community of people that we could like see on a regular basis.
Yeah. So like as you're creating this, which I love, like if it doesn't exist, build it.
Yeah.
That's what my girlfriend created, the coolest co-op that we are a part of now, because what she wanted didn't exist. Like she wanted a teen only co-op. And so she was like, so I built it and I really liked it for my own kids. And I could do a drop off if I wanted to, but a lot of times I want to go just because I don't have a baby anymore. So I can. Um, but kind of thinking about this, like while I am building this or creating this or finding these families, what if utilizing your husband for now? So you know, okay, once a week I'm going to do this, but husband, this isn't long term. This is just so I can get through every week while I am creating these things so that I can keep going without shutting down.
Yeah. And I think maybe since I guess I don't really know where he stands on this, it really like it's a little bit like pulling teeth to get his feelings out
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, yeah.
So maybe a conversation of like, okay, if I am getting this a support from you, like how do I support you in return? So it's
Yeah.
um yeah, I like that idea.
I like to like whenever you start something new, when it's a completely different dynamic, like it's a full paradigm shift for your family culture, right?
Yeah.
So like you have to treat it like a new baby. And my daughter-in-law, we she just had her new baby, right? And they live really close to us, that like in the apartment on her house. And I'm just watching this baby, how beautiful, lovely, wonderful she is, but exhausting at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so like I can't get enough of her, but then my daughter-in-law is up all night with her or
Right.
screaming and whatnot. And so then my son
Yeah.
is trying to pull extra slack or do something to help her because she's exhausted,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So you have to remember your new homeschool is your new baby. And it is exhausting in the beginning while you're trying to figure this out. And no, you're not changing diapers in the middle of the night, but you've got, what'd you say, like all the questions all day long. I liked how you worded it.
Yeah.
It made me giggle, right?
Yeah.
Like just together constantly. And maybe it's like, how many tie my shoe? Can you do this button for me? Or can I have a drink? Now can I have a treat? What's this? Oh, great. What's
Yeah.
that? Right? Like nonstop all day long. And so
Yeah. And your
it's a new
brain's like
baby.
exploding.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like, it is your new homeschool baby.
Yeah.
And so just like when you probably had your other babies, I'm guessing you got to a point where you're like, husband, I need your help. I'm drowning,
Yeah. Absolutely.
right? And it's not forever, but
Yeah.
right now in this season of like, okay, even if it's twice a month, or right now once a week, but half a day, or even right now a full day, just while I'm figuring this out, what would be so bad with that of asking him?
I think honestly, the thing that I need to just get over that okay, I have identified that I need this time and I just need to like make it happen and not just like think about it and like imagine, well, that would be cool. I need to actually like do whatever action steps there are to make it happen. Because my husband's pretty like, if I tell him like, hey, I need this thing and I need you to help me with this, like he will do it, no questions asked. Like I feel very blessed to have a very like, I don't want to say helpful because I don't like when people say their husbands help them. A very competent husband and father, who can just come in and do the things like whatever they are.
Yeah, no, it's this reel. It's been trending or whatnot. It's like, wow, your husband's so helpful. I'm like, thanks, Susan. I didn't marry a freaking loser. Like,
Yeah, like I married a normal human being.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
right. And so even like him knowing it's not long term, but I love the thought of like, how do I support you in
Yeah,
return? And sometimes the answer may be really simple. Like, I just need you to be positive when I'm like leaving to work. I need, you know what I mean? It may not even
yeah,
be anything more like than, hey, when I go out to lunch randomly with my friends while I'm traveling, don't give me the, oh, you're so lucky. You get to be in this neat place and
yeah,
go out to lunch. Like, I don't need the pity party, whatever it is for him.
yeah,
Just like it might be a lot more simple than you think.
yeah. Well, and I was thinking about it too. We recently went on a date to the Braves game,
Mm,
and we had not like gone out on a date in a long time. And I mean, he loves baseball, and we had a great time. And I was like, we needed this. We both needed this so much to recharge our batteries, spend time without our kids. When it was just a few hours, like it wasn't hard to set up and do. Um, so that made me think too, like prioritizing like time in our marriage of just us two, whenever we can do that, I think is recharging for both of us.
hmm.
But that can be easy when you have little kids to just kind of be like, oh, we'll do that later. But then you kind of
Yeah.
forget, like, wow, we really need that time.
Yeah. Like, I can't even remember when we started it, but we started date night Friday nights. And like, that's what I can usually do okay. But like Friday night was so nice for me because I mentally didn't have to be a mom. And so I
Yeah.
didn't have to make dinner and like we would buy them pizza and then we would go out and I thought I don't have to think. I don't have to do anything. And for me
Yes.
like that was enough, but I also like you like we did CrossFit forever and then we bought the box and turned it into a gym. Right? And I love running and all these things and I've realized throughout the years a lot of the reason why I was okay is because I was always doing little things for me.
Hmm.
So, like, I did get up really early to do a lot of things when he was in town because he'd be home. And if he was out of town and my kids were still little, I would hire a neighbor kid. Like, I just want to go for a run in the afternoon. Can you
Yeah.
come over and I'll pay you $10, whatever it was back then? Right? Like, I don't even care if you just watch a TV show with them. I just want to go run and clear my head. And so,
Yeah.
like, the more and more you get empowered of like, and coming, and I mean, the question, and I think a lot of us do this, does that make me a bad mom?
Oh
Of
my
just
gosh.
like, oh no,
That
I'm
is
a
like,
good mom
that
because
is in
I'm
my mind
prioritizing
constantly.
me, right?
Yeah.
Like prioritizing my mental health of doing these little things. Cause you're not even saying like, I want to drink all day and like teach my kids how to smoke. Like you're not, you know what I mean? Like you're asking, is it okay to just want some time alone?
Yeah.
And why
Well,
would that make anybody a bad mom?
yeah, and that's funny that you said that because I was thinking about I don't know if you've heard of that 80/20 rule. It's they apply it in terms of parenting. Like,
Yeah.
okay, 80% of the time you do like basically what you should be doing. Like your kids are eating decent food and they're not glued to their screen. It's like 80% of the time we're like on track with what we should be doing as parents. And then 20% of the time is you have slack for whatever is going on. But then they're saying you adjust that percentage based on what's going on in your life. Like if you just had a new baby, maybe it's 20/80 or
Yeah.
whatever. Or like if your spouse is out of town, it's 50/50. But
Mhm.
I feel like I have to put that in my mind more because I get so caught up on like I always need to be a good mom and do whatever is the absolute best for my kids, and it's sometimes at the expense of my own, like, mental health and sanity, like, I'm not gonna turn the TV on because it's not good for them, but I'm like, "But maybe it would be good for me if I just turn the TV on for a little bit so that I'm can do what I need to do," you know? It's like
Yeah. And I think redefining what a good mom is,
yeah.
right? Because like you have it painted pretty clear, like a good mom doesn't turn on the TV or a good mom does whatever. And it's like, what if a good mom just doesn't beat her kids? Right?
Yeah, then I'm doing
Like
so
set
good.
the bar real low. Like, what if a good
Yeah,
mom makes sure her kids have clothes and a roof
yeah,
over their head and food?
yeah.
And
That
then like every now and then, like if you're and I'm guessing the TV shows you're turning on for them aren't like these hard rated R movies. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
they're probably fairly innocent, I would assume. And so it's like maybe a good mom every now and then lets her kids watch a show.
yeah. That's something that I have to be like I get so hung up on making sure I'm doing the best things for them that I forget, like, I'm also a person and a human being with needs and wants, and, like, I can't make everything revolve around them all the time and
Yeah.
their well-being because then I get left behind, and that's no good for anybody, so
Yeah. And I think too, and I know yours are little, so like they probably won't notice it yet, but as they continue to get older, you doing awesome things for yourself will be so inspiring. The
yeah.
reason my kids have all done triathlons is because they watched me do Ironmans.
Yeah.
Right? And so then they're like well, and even my 8-year-old who's not super into, like, athletics or endurance sports, I should say, that he's like, "Well, I gotta get training if I'm gonna pull that triathlon off." And I was like, "I you do.
Yes.
You need to get to be training, right?" And so,
Yeah.
like, it is time consuming and I like, sometimes I'll need a nap in the afternoon because I was up training early in the morning or whatever it is, and instead of beating myself up like, "Oh, I'm neglecting my kids," or "I didn't make a homemade breakfast this morning because I wanted to go train," instead, I'm like, "Wow, I've inspired my kids." Like, "That's so
Yeah.
awesome."
Yeah, that's funny you said that because I do Olympic weightlifting as like
Yeah.
my first love. I do CrossFit kind of begrudgingly because my
Yeah.
husband does it. But I did a competition, a weightlifting competition in July and in we went back to Washington for it. Um and I did the competition and then I was judging a session afterwards and my son was sitting on my lap and he's like, "Mom, I want to lift." And I was like, "This is so cool." So it's like
Mhm.
moments like that make me realize like okay if I take my time to train like usually we do our homeschool like first section in the morning and then I'll go out and do my training and they'll play outside and whatever
Yeah.
and sometimes I'm like oh I feel guilty taking that chunk of time to work out but it's like it's vital for me just in many ways and they're like they're seeing fitness they're playing outside like so
Well, and
it's
they're gonna be playing without like in the old 80s and 90s kids, like you just ran wild and
yeah
like the mothers in the neighborhood kind of knew where you were, but you knew you could go to any of them if you got hurt, right?
yeah
And so to me, like it's just that mindset shift of like maybe this is okay so that because I know I can have a tendency to micromanage if I'm
yeah
like right there watching, but if I'm not watching, then later they can be like, I totally fell out of this tree. And it's like, oh, okay. What did we learn from that? Right. And
yeah
so I just even think like journaling or even just pondering, meditating of like, okay, why do the things I love, why could they make me be a good mom? Like, how
yeah
awesome to see, because both your kids are girls.
no my oldest is a girl and my youngest is a boy
Okay. So like empowering them about their bodies of like
yeah
strength training is cool for boys and girls, right? They're just different ways that you're like these are the things that are making me a good mom. And even going out with my husband on a date and getting a babysitter makes me a good mom because my kids see that I make my marriage a priority and they see
yeah
this, that also makes me a good mom. So just so that you can do this list. So when you get caught up in your head or like, oh no, I'm being a bad mom because I put on a show and I was exhausted and I just wanted to keep them safe or whatever. Like, no, I'm actually, why could that be a good mom? So that you can get out your list and being like, okay, good moms sometimes need a nap. And it was better to
Yeah.
know my kids were safe on a couch than turning on a stove or running away in a neighborhood I'm not all the way familiar with.
Yeah, I guess, like, a lot of what you're saying is just, like, reframing how I'm thinking about things, like, making some changes, but a lot of the change is, like, just thinking about it in a different way,
Yeah.
not being so hard on myself.
Definitely. And then even when you are getting over like, even have an emergency overstimulated idea, right? So if you're like, "Okay,
Yeah.
for right now, I'm gonna utilize my husband, but then I'm gonna start to try to create a family or hire a nanny or do something like that," so that you do have a long-term plan. But, like, okay, let's say it's just a random Wednesday afternoon and, like, you are all touched and questioned out. Like, what's your emergency go-to? Is it, like, one episode of a show? Is it like, this is my thing, like, we have quiet time. We have something that's like, this is when I'm completely tapped out. This is my emergency so that I don't explode and yell, I get really mad at
Yeah.
them or go and sulk and like, fine, I'm putting everybody in school. Like, what are some ideas for your emergency go-to?
Um, so we do still do my son takes a nap and then my daughter does quiet time in the middle of the day, so that is, like, crucial for all of us. We all need
Perfect.
it. But we also have like the basement set up with toys and like a soft like foam mat thing. So if I can get them to go down there, I'm like, just go down in the basement and like run around and like if you want to yell, like you go down yell down there. So if I can get them to do that, like that's helpful to just get their energy out and then me have a little bit of a break. But also like utilizing like if my neighbor's home and she wants to hang out with them, she's really great. And they love going over there. And she's always tells me like anytime, like she's so sweet. She's like a mother figure to us and grandmother figure to them. Um, but I think like the big thing for me is like recognizing that that is happening a little bit before it happens. Because if I let myself get all the way to like fully overstimulated or fully like overwhelmed or upset or whatever, then it's like, your brain just doesn't
Oh,
function.
it's shut down. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like the same with our kids.
Absolutely. Okay, I think you're on a really good track and like you're so new in your homeschool journey that as you are intentional with like and feeling really empowered, that's one of my favorite feelings with something like this of like I can figure something out. So it's
Yeah.
not like just because we can decide how we want to think about things doesn't mean you need to pretend that like I'm totally okay with my kids asking 1,000 questions all day and all over me. Like we don't have to push through that. If you're like, no,
Yeah.
if I can just have a 30-minute break, I'm good or a once
Yeah.
a week break. And so empower yourself of like, okay, if that's what I want and that really works for me, I know I can create that.
Yeah.
I know I can figure that out. And then I'm going to create an epic homeschool. We're going to have an amazing family culture and dynamic because I'm going to put forth the effort because I'm a really good mom. So of course I will.
Yes. Absolutely. And I think I, I was kind of laughing when we started homeschool because as I've gone through like motherhood so far, it's like, okay, here's all these things that I have to do that I've not been trained at all to do. Like,
Mhm.
okay, like all of these skills that you have to have as a mom that no one tells you about, and then you just acquire them as you go along. And then
Yeah,
when we decided to homeschool, I was like, okay, well now I'm a teacher, so I'm going to learn how to do that. Like, so it's just like continual acquiring of skills to be able to do things as a parent. So it's like, okay, I know I can do this. I just have to acquire the skills.
absolutely. And you're on a really great path. Katie, thank you so much for coming on and with your question. I think
Thank
this is a
you.
really, really important question. So I'm so
Yeah.
glad that we did that today. So have an amazing day, and I will talk to everybody next week.